afternoon and good evening to you. Today we are going to talk about how you can automate your references and bibliography lists using AI. What I'm going to talk about today is not something new. It's been around for several years, and as somebody in the academia, I've been using it for more than 17 years now. So, which means it's even older than my academic uh, years of experience, my career in the academia. When you submit an article to a journal, they always give you some guidelines on how you should arrange your references. And then sometimes it's always a tough thing to do, from transiting from one referencing style to the other, because we have so many referencing styles. And once you automate them and you have an e-version of it, things are better done and easier done. So it's less complicated, and then you can even keep this library and exchange them with friends and keep them in your archive for so many years to come. So today I'm going to introduce one of the oldest referencing manager tool to you, which is more or less like one of the oldest AI tool for references and bibliography making in academic writing. When we talk about academic references generally, it is a necessary evil in my opinion, because it is an essential part of the academic work, right? And then when you do references, they are very important for writing successful reports, theses, doing communications in the academia, be it being a PhD, a bachelor's, MA, or even for academic publishing in general. And the process of collecting, storing, adapting, organizing, and sharing information found anywhere and everywhere is more or less like a very complicated issue. In the olden days, people would have a library of printed journals or prints from journals, or you have an archive of books that have been printed as journals. But with technology, there is no need to do that, right? And we all have a way of organizing this information in our own way as researchers. Commonly, a lot of people do copy and paste. At one point in people's career, they've copied and pasted references, even maybe from their old papers to new manuscript that have been drafted, or maybe from a journal that they read, or a PDF version of a journal, and they pasted it into their own work. And this copy and paste tradition is quite laborious. It's very stressful, dysfunctional, right, and time consuming in my opinion, right? So hence we need a system where you just do a click and your references and bibliography, they come in one place. It is important to think about an automated way to do references. And these days we have so many of them in the market. The choice is between what is commercially available, that is premiumed, to what is non-commercially available, that is open source, and that is free to use. I'm a big fan of open source science, open source framework. So anything that has to do with the academia or the projection of knowledge or the acquiring of knowledge should be made free for people to use. Hence, why I'm going to talk today about one that is specifically made by the academia for the academia. So you think about stuff like EndNote, which is premium. A lot of people know about EndNote. You think about Mendeley, which is very good also, but I have my preservation because it's mostly an online platform. It's more useful when you're online. There's RefWork, there is Citavi, there is Paperpile, and even Microsoft Word can do referencing for you. So it's a choice between functionality, how suitable it is for your project, how sustainable it is, the taste you have personally, how flexible it is, and the cost. And when it comes to cost, you can think about three of them: Mendeley, RefWork, and Zotero. And this is a Venn diagram that shows you the differences between them, and the intersection of them. Zotero is a vast user-generated collection of citation style. That's what it uses a lot, right? It can take notes. It can capture citation information from PDFs if they have metadata. It can create research groups, right? It can also automatically generate citations in Word as add-ins in Word, and can capture citations from major databases and search engines once they are in RIS files or they are linked to your web browser. They can also capture citations from a wide variety of academic databases like Scopus, Web of Science, even from Semantic Scholar, right? And hence why I prefer to use Zotero. And like I said, I've been using Zotero in the last 18 years or thereabouts. It's your personal research assistant, like a normal AI tool. The good thing is that it is free, it is open source, it's very easy to use tool that will help you collect, organize, cite, and share your research. And they also so good that it's available on Mac, even on Windows and Linux. So you can use it with any kind of machine that you have. And for me, there is no financial or ulterior motive to promoting Zotero. It's just because it's about taste. It's something I've been using for 18 years. I've used EndNote before also. I've used Mendeley before, but I still have a huge respect and preference for Zotero. Moreover, it is free to use and it is open source. And it's purely developed by the academia, for the academia. So it's produced by the Center for History and New Media at George Mason University in the US. There are many good alternatives, I agree. Mendeley, PaperPal, and all the likes, even Microsoft Word. If you can't find a way, you create one. That's my opinion. And because one other thing that I like Zotero about is that it automatically senses your content, so which allows you to add it to your personal library with just a single click. Now we're going to learn about where to find Zotero, right? Welcome back. Now that we have spoken a bit about Zotero and made a short introduction to what Zotero is all about, now we need to talk about how to install Zotero, both for it as a standalone software on your PC and also as add-in and as connected for your browsers. So to do that, we head to any web browser, for example, and then we search for Zotero download, and the first one that comes is going to take you to this site where it's more of a description about Zotero, and you can choose any of these ones as well. So you can go for download, for connector. This connector will add Zotero to your browser here, so you can directly link articles to your website or to your Zotero library, and then you can download other stuff there. So I'll go here, I'll come to Zotero here, and here when you get to the website, it's zotero.org. You have so many items highlighted here, from groups to the documentation. The documentation is everything about Zotero, from installation, how you can quickly start it, if you need help about it, if you need to do some storage subscription, that means when you need extra storage for your files, and about adding files, feeds, collections, and how you use different stuffs within Zotero, how you sync it with your groups, yeah, and then so many things under the documentation that you can read. And there is a forum where you can also read about people's comments about different challenges that they've had and how they fixed such problems in Zotero. So it means you can actually create an online access for it, so that you can belong to some of the communities and also use Zotero online. And this is where you need to get the extra subscription for the space. But I'm not using that, so I'm using one that is installed on my PC. So, and then if you need to go to get engaged with the community, there are so many things about the blogs, Zotero blogs, and all of them here, and the different forums that you can join. So to download, you go home, and then you click on you have Zotero being available for Mac, Windows, Linux, iOS, and Android. So it means you can use it on your phone. So if you click on download the app button, you have a Zotero 7 for Windows, and then you need your PC to be 64 bits, and then you can get installation help here. And there are other versions as well. So these are other versions that you have: Zotero 7, Zotero 6, and you have it for the different machine that you use. Windows, this is one for Windows. So I will suggest you download the 64-bit installer. If you want to use the old version, you just click on Windows here, and it takes you to the download, and the download is done at the top right hand corner here, or you find it in your download window. So this is my download window. The executable file has been downloaded here, and you can just run it. But I have it installed already, so I'm not going to do that, right? And then if you need the connectors, so this is good for your browser. I recommend you install it for your Chrome if you're using Chrome, and it's going to add Zotero as a connector too. I already have it here, so if I click here, it means if I find any reference online, I can directly link them together with my Zotero, right? And I'm going to demonstrate how you can do that later on. So you can also get it from Play Store. So if you go on and find both Apple Play Store and Google Play Store, if you go in and then you click on this, then you are able to download it and install it on your phone. So which means you can use it on your Android, for any kind of phone that you have as well. So remember, you need the connector for your browser, that is one, and then you need it also for your you need to install Zotero itself. So this is what the Zotero platform will look like once it is well installed. This is an example of the Zotero outline, or the workspace itself. So you have different layers, which I'm going to explain later on. But the most important one is that you must also have it installed into your word processor. So if you have Word, open your word processor, and then since I install it, you should have it as one of the add-ins here. So if you look here, this is my add-in, and I have Zotero as an add-in here. But sometimes it happens that doesn't install quite well, right? So you need to figure out how to do that. So how do you do that? You go to your Zotero. Once it is open, you go to Edit, you go to Preferences, and then you have this pop-up window. It's a lot you can do here. We are going to demonstrate some of them later on, but the most important one is to link it as a word processor. So if you have it Microsoft Word, you install it in your Microsoft Word. If you are using this old version of LibreOffice, you also had it, such that when you are in Word there and you type in a document, you can insert your references directly into the Word document, and also make your bibliography list from this Word document. So usually if you run it, if you install it, and if your Zotero is not installed, Then you need to add it from Zotero by installing it as a add into your Microsoft Word, or installing it to your uh, LibreOffice add-in. It's either way. So, and all you just need to do is click install and click OK, and that is done. So there are many other things you can do in general here in terms of the outline of how it reads your file, how it sync with other people's accounts, maybe online accounts of a group. You can also use to do a search, and also use to do you can use it for exporting your library, and do some very advanced things like changing the language from English to Norwegian to Arabic to Spanish, or to even Italiano. And then you can do a lot of those here. So, but I'm not going to do any configuration here other than showing you how to install the add-in. Okay, so that is it, and then we move on, to how you can use the interface in Zotero. See you soon. Now we head into the Zotero environment, and we are going to discuss how you can interact with the environment, how you can mine references, and how you can build up your library. And then I'm going to do some demonstration of how you can import references from different sources into Zotero. So I start by opening my Zotero now, which is open. And what you have here is that you have a menu here, which is very simple to use. You have the file menu where you have the adding of new items. So if you need to add a book section, you add it here. If it's a journal article, you add it here. If it's report, thesis, so you have so many things, interviews, even emails, conferences, and so on and so forth. You can also add notes. You can add new collections. By new collections, it means you are adding folders. So you want to create folders. It's a good way of organizing yourself anyway. So you use folders, right? So if I need to build a folder now, I'll just click on new collection, and I'll give it a name, and I will call it maybe demonstration. And once I do that, it's going to appear in my library as demonstration. And it's very, very simple interface. So the same way you've been doing all references, you can just click on a collection and delete a collection. Like now, I don't want that. If I need to delete another collection, I can do that. And if I need to add a new collection, I just right click on the library and say add new collection. Say, let me call this one ESG paper, for example, which means it's a collection for all the references that I'm going to use in the ELG paper. You also have files that are items that are unfiled, so which means they don't belong to any of these so I can hide them, or I can even move them to a collection if possible, I think. But if not, I think you can hide this, right? And then the trash is where you drop everything. So I can delete everything from the trash, or even empty the trash this way. So you empty the trash. It's always good to empty it because you have a field space. And once you have an item, a reference in your list, they are always listed in this open Canva in the order of title, curator, item type, or year, and you can sort them. You can sort them by just clicking on this arrow pointing down and up. So you can do that in alphabetical order. I think it's the same if you want to have all the journal articles in one place. You see, now you have book section, data set, journal articles, and then you have the preprints, right? And then if you click on them here, you see that there is a column here where it highlights all the keywords, right? That those ones are all about. So I'm looking at landscape and the landforms of Nigeria, and these are the keywords about that, right? And what they are all about. And then you see a new section where it actually explicitly shows you the details of the reference. So the reference in this case is Faniro et al., which means Faniro and so many other authors, right? So here it shows you the item type is a book, and the title is a Landscape and Landforms of Nigeria, and you have editors, these guys, Faniro Adetoye, you have Jeje Lawrence Kosoko, you have Fashaye Olutoye, you have Olushola Adeyemi, and then you have many other details about it, where it was published, the publisher, the date, the number of pages that you have, the ISBN number because it's a book. So ordinarily, if it's an article, it's going to be the DOI number, and then many other details about its rights and so on and so forth. So this is more or less like an explainer for everything that is in there. And the good thing about it is you can actually edit this. So if I need to change this, that this is not correct, this is a book section, I can say change it to book section. And you also see that the items that are highlighted there are also changing, because there are different ways to cite in different things, right? The way you cite a book is different from the way you cite a book section. The same way you cite a journal is not the same way you cite a preprint, and so on and so forth. So if I change it back to book, you see that you have more content rather, compared to when it was just a book section. Like the number of pages here. Again, book section, you see that that has changed to pages, the page numbers. But if it's a book, it changes to number of pages. If it's a journal article, that is going to be different. So if I say journal article, you see, are you sure you want to change the item? Because we are going to lose these fields, right? Place, publisher, and ISBN number. So I say no, so I cancel. So you have one area where you organize the library on this left hand side. You have the central area where it lists out all the items that you have within a collection, and you have an explainer, which is an area where you can edit any reference that you have in here. And because you build a collection, you can also build sub collections within them, right? So this is a demo. We can drag this into demo and it becomes a sub collection under demo. We can do the same for this, it becomes a sub collection under demo. So every item is under the demonstration here, yeah. And if you need to take them out, just drag them out again, and they are separated from this demo. Sorry, I need to do this better in it. It's because I have few on. So and that. Anyway, I can show you how to do that later on when I had more of the data. So now it's very, very simple. So if you have references, you can see all the tags that can be used to call out the reference, which are more or less like keywords, conservation, all of those, UNESCO, vandalism, and all of those. If I click on the reference, this Lamidi et al., you see, or the tags has also changed. So it means if I come here and look for tags under conservation, I can add more tags, which means I can call out references that contains these keywords, or they are belongs there. It's like grouping them into departments, like having a marketing department, sales department, so that you can easily call out people in one department or the other. Okay, so that is about the interface, the environment, the Zotero environment. Now let's go to how you can build your library. How do you build your library? How do you put in references into Zotero? There are so many ways you can do that, and obviously you will have seen one of them, which is from this edit, where you had a new item, right? So if you are adding a book section, for example, you can manually do that if you know what the journal is about. So if I click journal article, for example, it's going to be blank at the moment, and I can just go online, pick on any paper from Google Scholar, for example, and then let's look at intersection of AI and blockchain, right? And see papers that have been written on that. So if, for example, we're looking at this paper, I can of course automatically extract this, right? But if I want to build it manually, I just need to copy the title and then back to Zotero. Let me close this guy. Back to Zotero. I'll put in the title, yeah, and also put in the names of the author. The author's names are this, so all of them I can put them in as, for just demonstration purpose, I'll just create different names. So I'll create Sam AB. If I need to add another author, I'll do the same, add another author, and say John PK. Had another author, P Cable LM, and you see that now that reference has been updated as Sam et al. Journal article. If the year is 2025, I can come to the year, the date it was published, 2025. If I know the number of pages, because it's a journal article, I can list the page number from 91 to 120, for example. I can add the publication type, Journal of Secret, right? Because it's just for demonstration purpose. I can add the DIO number, the language, and all of those, English, and then the address, the view, the rights, and I can fill in all the fields manually. But the idea is not to do things manually, right? But in some cases, you might need to edit references that are poorly written or poorly indexed online. So that way we have built one, right? If I remove one of the authors, it becomes just Sam and John. So if I remove it, now it's Sam and John. And I can just drag this. If you look at the ESG before, it's empty. And we made a new one, we call it Sam and John. And I can just drag it into the ESG. And when you click on the ESG, you have Sam and John in the ESG, for example. So that is one way to input references into your library, right? Okay, the second way, which is very simple, is the example that I showed earlier. You are in Google Scholar. Let's go back to the Google Scholar page. And then you have 52,900 results for this. You know you can customize your Google Scholar. Let's assume we are interested in 2020 to 2025. And we do that. That should reduce the number of articles that it returns, right? We just want to, we don't want the citations, it's going to reduce it, right? And then we can also say, okay, we want just AI and blockchain, right? So if we do remove intersection and we use the boolean and we type, and the and is in and we can put intersection also and say plus AI and do this, and we have few numbers, right? So it means we can use these references and we can use them, cite them online. Now, since you had a connector to your Zotero, right, and your Zotero is up and running, so you want to put these ones in the ESG collection. So you come online, you just click the connector, right? And then you pull out all those ones. It normally gives you 10, so you have to continue doing it on and on and on. So if you select all of them and you are sure these are the references that you need, or assuming we don't want this one, the convergence and the PDF of this one, we can just say okay, and it's going to save it, because the moment you highlight and the Zotero is on, mind you, your Zotero must be on. This is the most important thing about it. It must be on. And you say okay, and it's going to pull all those references directly into your Zotero. All those references directly into your Zotero. Google Scholar is one platform where you can do it. You can also do it in other platforms. You can do it in so if we turn on the Zotero now, you see that all those references are now in here and correctly indexed in here, right? According to the kind of articles that they are. You can do the same on Science Direct or Scopus. And if you type in the title of article, intersection of AI and blockchain, and press enter, you see that you have a list of articles, right? You have a list of articles. So you need a subscription to do this. So you can, but if you don't have a subscription, one direct way you can do it is just, for example, click on the article, and then this article is written by Ludovico and Malcolm, so you can just pull it directly into your Zotero, right? So you click it and it's going to add it directly into your Zotero on, and you see that we now have it as Rela and Campbell, because that's the way the indexing has been done in there. Ordinarily, if you have access to all these platforms, there will be a checkbox here where you can check all these articles and pull all of them at once into your Zotero. So if you do this, save, it's going to save it a high enhanced method. So you have it also, Resi also is loaded here, and now it's now duplicated because I did it twice. So I can right click and remove it from my collection, right? One other thing you can use, one other method you can use is that instead of pulling them at once, you can use the DIO numbers. So if I copy this DIO number, copy link address, and I come to Zotero, there is a add button here for new items. So we have been doing that using the file menu, right? But we can use this add item by identifier. So if you know the ISBN number, if you know the DUI number, the whatever index number that you know, if you type it here and you press enter, it's going to carry that reference from whatever source it is into your Zotero. Now it's Rashana Aurich et al. By like 6 of them. So if we look, it's the same reference, blockchain for logistic 0.40, and we have it, blockchain for logistic 0.40. So I've shown you 3 methods now. One is using the PDF to pull it out. One is using the DUI number to pull them out. You can then pull them from different platforms, academic platforms, not just Google Scholar. You can use Science Direct, you can use Web of Science, you can use PubMed, and so on and so forth. The other way to do them is you can also, if you have PDFs that are well structured with metadata, we also have to specify that it must be with the metadata. So if you have a PDF, you can use that also. So let's assume we have PDFs that we want to use here. We can take few PDFs and use them in Zotero, right? So let me bring you some PDF from my papers. So if I highlight this PDF and I drop them, these are PDFs in Zotero, yeah. It's just going to process all of them and bring out the references. You see that one of them did not work because it is not well indexed, and you cannot convert it into metadata. The good thing about them is that the moment you have them, you can also access the PDF straight away here and read the PDF directly. So if I click on the PDF, it opens the PDF and I can read about the article here. So you can also pull from those platforms, right? And you can also attach any files here. You can bring in attachments, link them to this, and then you can do so many other things there, right? Okay, so those are the ways to add references to your Zotero, right? And remember, you can add them using the URL number. You can also do them manually by yourself, and you can also directly add attachments or even load PDFs like I just did. Okay, so we move to the next stage, which is how to use the references in the Word document, and we'll talk about that in a moment. See you soon. So welcome back, and now we need to talk about how you use the references within your Word document, because this is the essence of it. You type in your manuscript and then you don't want to stress yourself manually entering all the references that you have, right? So we go to your Word document. Remember, it must be added as a text too, right? Or adding rather into your work. So if you don't have it as an add-in, I already showed how you can do that, how you can put in add-ins, right? I already showed you how you can do the add-ins. So your add-in should show this. You should have add or edit citation, add notes, add or edit bibliography, refresh, unlink citation because they are always coded, and then document preference. It's just six items. So now, going back to our ESG, so we want to use all these references. We want to use them in an article, right? So let's just find a text online. So we just type in a text. So assuming we are going to use this text. So we can use this text. It's just a random text, and then we paste it here. So let's assume the first, because references can be at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, and of a paragraph, and so on and so forth. So we can use this. So I'm not going to teach you on how to do the reference in this. How to do references in this particular video. There will be an follow-up video on that later on. Okay, so now after the selection of, we want to add some of these references here from Zotero. We want to add some of these references. Mind you, they are not the right one. It's just for demonstration purpose. So let's assume this particular sentence belongs to just one of the author. This first one. And it's just one author's citation that we need. In your Word, you click on add or edit citation, and then because it's a new document entirely, it's going to ask you for the document preference type, the referencing preference type that you want, right? There is APA here, there is American sociology, Association, ASA, 6th and 7th, Chicago, just a few ones within the citation style. But if you need to add more, just click on manage style, right? And a pop-up window will come on here that will allow you to get additional styles, right? So once you click on that, guys, will be an extra pop-up window. If your field is in geology, for example, it's going to tell you about different journals of geology and their citation style. So you can click and add it to it. So let's assume we are doing for Journal of Geoscience. We click on Journal of Geoscience, and it's going to add it here. I'm going to say OK. And then the referencing style that we are going to have is going to be about Journal of Geology. So let's add it now, and then we choose Journal of Geosciences as the preferred citation style. And then once that is done, it's going to open up the Zotero window, and then if the reference that you need is Eritrea, you click on Eritrea and you just click OK. And you see that this has been added. Reference, other shared experiences, citation is Eritrea et al. 2020, right? And the Nigerian is something NMGS developed through. So let's put a comma. Let's assume it's two authors that have said this. All you need to do is again add and edit citations, right? And then this time around you click multiple sources here, and then you had them Ifedayo, you had Rain or Rene, you had Uresi, you had Sam and John, and it's going to add all of them, right? And just click OK. And you see that this has been followed up with Rain, Resi, Ifedayo, and true citation of, maybe we had all of them. Let's assume it's all of them. You just come here, add citation, and you right click, you click all of them and click multiple, and then you say OK. And you see that all the references have been bulk listed here. And that is how to add references. The same way, if you need to edit, you can just click around it and say edit, and then you remove the ones that you don't want. Say you don't want this one, you take it out. You don't want this Ari Shidayat, you take it out. You don't want this blockchain and AI, you take it out, and then you say OK. And that has reduced the number of citations that you have here. And you see this has followed the Journal of Geosciences, right? If you want to change this style and say we want it to be nature, right, we'll go and say we want it to be nature, and we'll click on nature style and say OK. And you see these are going to change to numbers from 1 to 2 to 5, 1 to 11, and that is it. And then once you are done, you want the references, because all references used must be listed, all references cited must be listed, and all references listed must be cited the same way. So you just click and you say add or edit bibliography. Because we've not done it previously, we will click on add, and it's going to add all the references in one go, just in one go. Everything will be added in one go, right? And then, assuming we change our mind that the journal we are submitting to, or because it was rejected by Nature, we need to highlight everything again and say document preference, and maybe we change it to Elsevier without title, the Harvard style, or maybe Journal of American Society of Geological Society of America Bulletin, but I'll choose Elsevier, or even upper 7th, because 7th is fine, and say OK, want it as upper 7th, and that will update all the references to upper 7, and you see it has changed. And you can do every other thing that you normally do with your Word document, line spacing, and all of those with it. Alright. So now I've shown you how to do reference, and then you can also edit some of the references if you need to. If there is a need to reference them, because normally if it's going to start at the beginning of the sentence and you enter something like you enter one of this one and you need to edit it, you just need to edit, click there, and because you can start with the open bracket, said that the collection of, and that's how to edit them, right? And use them in Zotero. Okay, so that is Zotero, adding references and updating bibliography for your academic writing. And to conclude this video, I'm going to talk about how you can import and how you can give exchange your library from Zotero. Thank you. Welcome back. Now let's talk about how you can import and export libraries in Zotero. So Zotero work with file format that is RIS format, which I think is Reference Information System format, right? You can see stuff like deep text and all of the likes. I think it still work with that. So if we go to Zotero, it's a very simple thing to do. You just need to come to the library that you want to export. You can right click on it, and then you click on Export Library, and then it's you have two options, right? And you have one option is that you can just export all the file details without the files. Remember, because we use PDFs, so if you want to also export the PDF, which means your file is going to be quite heavy, then you can click Export Files, but you don't need to do that, right? So in most cases you only need to export the notes, and the most compliant format is IRS. But if you are exchanging it with other platforms, like if you want it in CSV file, if you want it as bib text or some other types that you want to exchange with EndNote, even EndNote XML format is also available here. So, but I use IRS because it works with almost all the platforms. So you click on IRS, and then the character encoding format is simple. Just keep it as Unicode UTF-8, and then you say OK, and that will export it, and you can give it a file name, for example, and save it. Let's say we are saving it on our desktop, and we call it ESG paper, and we say save, and that will go to the desktop as ESG paper. Assuming we delete this off, delete collection, and we want to import those EXG papers. Now again, we just go to file and we say import, or you press Ctrl+Shift+I, and if it's saved on your clipboard, you can say Ctrl+Shift+I, Alt-I, but we use Ctrl+Shift, and this will appear. Where do you want to import from? We want to import from a file, which is RIS, or we can import from online source like Mendeley, and we say next, and then we look for the file which is on the desktop, and it's called ESG paper, and we say open, and then it's going to copy file to Zotero storage folder, link to files in original location. No need to do, just place imported item in new collection and say next, and it's going to import everything as it is. So, and that is it. That marks the end of this series on Zotero. It's one unique way to automate your academic referencing, make it easy for you to exchange your libraries, and to keep things up to date. I'm going to do a separate video on how you can use or convert old references that you have listed in a document, how you can convert them into RIS formats, and how you can automate them in platforms like EndNote and Zotero. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, make your comments, ask questions, and if there are other suggestions on things you need me to work on, and please feel free to reach out. And don't forget to listen to the ethical advice and issues. See you soon. Bye. AI can help you think faster, but not think less. It can be your creative mirror, not your intellectual crutch. Let it support your curiosity, not suppress your judgment. Stay bold, stay ethical, and above all, stay curious. Click the like button, share the video with your friends, make comments on areas to improve, and if you have suggestions on other tools you want me to look at, let me know. Thank you, and stay blessed. Bye.